Welcome back to KK Cabaret, where we talk all things vintage, vintage fashion, vintage blogging, and sewing and crafting and everything else in between. I am reporting today from beautiful sunny Southern California, where it is 100 degrees in March. Therefore, I am again makeupless and I just got out of a very cold shower. I am wearing this wonderful silk, 100% silk tiki shirt that I thrifted many years ago. And all my dogs are inside. So if you hear puppy dogs, then just know those are my fur babies staring at me lovingly. And I am enjoying some iced decaf coffee while we talk about today. We're going to talk about PDF patterns and sewing. Why are we doing that? Because I sew a lot and I sew from all kinds of different patterns, but a lot of things these days are PDF patterns. So I figured I would talk to you guys a little bit about those. So if you want to talk about that, if you're interested in starting sewing and PDFs are the only things you've been able to find, allow me to show you what I do with PDF patterns. I will be right back with all my supplies. Okay. So today I'm just going to do a little chat. I did get some questions. I've gotten questions before, but I also got recent questions from a fellow sewist, and they gave me the idea to just kind of do a chit chat on patterns, PDF patterns, where I get them printed. I will end up linking the shop. I only go through one shop now to get my PDF patterns printed. And I will link them in the comments below. Again, I'm so sorry if you hear my dog. He is crying because he can see me. But I am, like, this is the best lighting and it's kind of the coolest room right now. We don't run the AC here because I, again, live in Southern California, and my last power bill, like last summer, I think it was over $700. So that is not happening. Also, I rent and I do not have solar, so no coming after me in the comments about solar, okay? I would love it, but I have no choice. Okay, that caveat is over. You guys know what I'm saying. Let's talk sewing patterns. I've always learned how to sew. When I learned how to sew, I always sewn off of not tracing patterns, paper patterns, where they come in this beautiful little envelope and they have tissue paper. I just realized I bought this pattern new and it has tape on this, and I'm wondering why. Like, did someone go through my pattern before I got it? Anyways, beautiful little pattern. I actually want to sew that because I want to make that look very 1940s. Anyways, comes with the instructions like this, and then this is the pattern. So the pattern, you end up cutting out or tracing, and the paper is pretty hard to fold back up, but that is usually what we do. We fold it back up, put all the pieces back in our envelope, and it is ready to be sewn again whenever we choose to sew it. I usually do trace my patterns because my size can fluctuate, or, you know, what if someone else wants to? Hold on. Sorry, my toddler was asking me for something. Anyways, I've always sewn off of those. I do trace my patterns because unless I'm being super lazy, in which case I get mad at myself when I don't trace the pattern, but I usually trace it because sizes fluctuate, and plus there's multiple sizes in some of these patterns. So this one goes to a 14 to a 22. Usually that's the size range I balance in between. Would be between a 14 and an 18. So I like to trace it because I can go back and forth. Someone else can sew this pattern later and it will still be complete without being cut. I learned that a long time ago, and I used to... My corgi is barking at me. What, baby? Calm down. Okay. I learned how to sew like off of these patterns in high school. I was not organized in high school. I just found my bin from high school with all my sewing patterns, and I have them munched up in sandwich bags. No writing on that sandwich bag, so I don't know where the pattern is. Then I find the pattern envelope that I think it goes to, and then half the pieces are either torn or disintegrated or missing. So adult Kayla is way more responsible with her patterns, and I like to resew certain things. excuse me. My corgi is the boss. She's the queen. I like to resew certain patterns that I end up really liking. So I usually trace them and everything goes back in here. If it doesn't fit back in here, then I end up with a project, like a clear project bag, project Ziploc, and I put everything in that Ziploc with this so I know exactly what it is, along with any notes that I think I may need to make. So that is paper patterns. But nowadays, a lot of patterns, especially like from indie pattern makers and indie designers, they come in PDF. And when I started getting back into sewing, or when I wanted to sew Gertie patterns that weren't in her book, I joined her Patreon and I had no idea how to get these patterns or how to print the patterns. Luckily, I found her Facebook group, and that helped me out a lot. I still to this day ask many, many questions and answer many, many questions. Okay, sorry about that. Anyways, I didn't know anything about these patterns and how to get them. I'm not very technologically savvy. I really am not. But over the years, I have taught myself quite a few things. So I just asked a few questions online and then I started my journey. So with PDF patterns, you download them onto your phone or onto your computer, and then they are either in tiled version, which you have to tape together, or they are in AO pattern pieces or paper, which is like a huge piece of paper. I'm going to show you guys both versions. And I am more than likely not taping together this one pattern that I have today because I do have it for a different project I want to make. But I will show you what I do with my A0 sized paper patterns. I will show you. When it's a small pattern, like Gertie just released a little like handbag pattern on her Patreon as a bonus pattern. And something like that, I send to Staples. I don't have a printer. I don't even have a computer. I use everything off of my phone. So I send it to Staples and I get it printed, and it's like a few cents a page. So it usually doesn't end up costing me too much. See my little Staples envelope? I have so many of these for these little projects. This last thing I printed, I printed two things. So I do this every once in a while, but I will show you. Oh, it doesn't have a cover page. I'll show you the one that I have printed that has a cover page too. But it comes like this, and it is literally tiled. So it's like a puzzle. And you have to, and then there's like instructions on the pages, but this is a sleeve pattern. I want it because it's like those big gathered sleeves that I've never done it, or sorry, my dogs are just gonna drive me crazy right now. I've never done these kind of sleeves, but it's shirred, like with the elastic. I think there's another name for it. I don't know it. I call it shirring. So basically it's like a puzzle piece, okay? And you have to tape them together like so. Well, you cut one side and then you tape it 1 to 1 where those little arrows are. And however many pages it is, you have to have enough floor space or table space to tape this together. I'm telling you, it's a monstrosity. It is crazy. And because of that, I do not tape together large patterns. If it's a dress, a skirt, pants, I am not taping it together. I am so sorry. Plus, for that many pages at Staples, it's gonna cost me $1 million just to print. I tried it once. For last year's Viva, I needed a dress pattern ASAP. And it didn't work out. I ended up not getting it because to print off that many pieces wasn't gonna work. Anyways, I will say, I also knit and I get my patterns printed. I don't use crochet or knitting patterns on my phone. I can't stare at my phone for that long. It hurts my eyes. I have some issues, especially lately with my health issues. I cannot look at the phone that long. So I do knit and crochet. I don't use crochet patterns though. We know that. Like I've told you guys that. But I print off my knitting patterns because I'm a very visual pattern person. So this is like a skirt pattern that I want to make. It's so cute. I have the green yarn just to make it already. And so I print those off too. And I just wanted to show you, it's like this many. It's like a little booklet that I end up making, but it helps to know where to get things printed. And I go to Staples because there's one closer to my house. I live like in an industrial area, so it's hard to find things close. So usually I go when I'm close to work or close to the store, the market, whenever I'm going. So that's what you have to do with tiled. You have to tape them together. It is a headache if you don't want to get down on the ground or hunch over your table all day long or hassle trying to find the pieces and cutting pieces. Girl, I'm telling you, don't do it. Don't do this to your life. Do this next thing. It is going to be the best thing that ever happened since sliced bread. I get my patterns printed on A0 or A0 pattern paper by the Plotted Pattern Printing. And I found her through the Gertie group, and we are Gershons, proudly, I guess. That's what we call ourselves, I guess. That's people that sew Gertie patterns. I actually sew all kinds of patterns, but these are some of my favorites. I get them printed from her. They come in these little white envelopes, not little, but still, like, let me compare it to this Vogue pattern, which is standard. It's not too bad. I store them in tubs, storage tubs, and the pages, this is one of the next video I post is Viva Prep, so we know where I'm going with this. Sorry, my dogs are gonna drive me nuts. I need to let them out. Okay, hi, dining room, AKA sewing room. This is an A0 pattern. How it comes is folded up. And it comes on this giant map of a paper. And I'm gonna lay it out so that you guys can kind of see. This is one of my Viva dresses I'm gonna make. It's the Cafe Culture by Tuppence a Penny. I put it on my table. Usually I'm working on the floor, but it kind of fits on my table right now. Next thing I usually do, I get my handy dandy parchment paper. I use it for tracing paper. I use it for tracing paper because I am a broke biatch that doesn't want to spend $1 million on tracing paper or sheets or anything like that. This comes on a roll. Comes on a roll, and I'll show you what I do with it. Okay, so these are like what the pattern pieces come like from hers. Obviously, she does hers in colors so that you can see what sizes you are. Always check the pattern for what size you want to be, what you want to cut. And these are like the pieces that are on this page. I get my tracing paper, parchment paper, and let's say I want to trace out the facing. See how you can see right through it? I just get my pencil and I trace it onto this in the right size. And then I have this roll and I just end up rolling it out, right? And like if you look up here, I want to show you, there's like a bit that probably won't, let's see, hold on, focus. Okay. So depending on the size, it won't all fit on one page. So I end up taking a page, like ripping off a piece and then sticking it up there, and I staple it because tape does not work on this. So they also come with all the patterns, even the ones that are on tiles, will come with a test square, and it's usually 1 inch, and then you make sure that it measures that much. That's how you know your pattern pieces are going to be accurate. And most of them also come with a size key. Obviously hers is color coded, and so I will have to go to my pattern instructions and double check what sizes I need to cut out and grade whatever I need to do. So that's what I do with my PDF patterns. When I'm done cutting them out, I put them back in their paper envelopes, but usually I end up putting those in a project bag as well, like exactly like the other ones. It's just a Ziploc bag big enough to hold the project bag or project bag, the envelopes and the pattern pieces. And I store them that way. I will write on that. I will usually write what size on my pieces. I will end up tracing some real quick. This is what I do. I always have to grade my patterns. My waist to bust to hip ratio is not standard. It's ridiculous. It's like 42. Good job, thank you. It's like 42, I think, 30, and then 49. Oh my God, 47 to 49, depending on the week of the month, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not standard sized. That's why I ended up sewing all the time, ever since I was younger. And so I just grade things down when I'm tracing it, and then I grade it back out, or I make adjustments to my pattern while I'm tracing it. And I make those notes either on the pattern pieces, what I did, what sizes I graded to, or I will write it on the envelopes or on the Ziploc bags. But it's really not that hard. I'm not gonna lie, I let it stop me from sewing for a while, like sewing any modern patterns that were from modern designers, because everyone does PDFs now. Also, like storing these giant patterns is kind of horrible. There is another company that does PDF printing. I know that some people said they get them printed at like CVS too. I just know I tried to print A0 paper at Staples before, and it was gonna cost me like $100, guys, for this pattern. And I was like, not worth it, not doing it. What the heck? Who would pay that, right? And I'm like, it's not like it's a paying job. It's not like I'm getting paid to do this. I get it for like a business that needs it, but no, it's my hobby. I want it for free. No, I'm just like, I love paying the plotted pattern, you know what I mean. I will put their name here. I love supporting them. They're a small business. They run their business out of they used to run it out of their house. I think now they just got their own spot. So I like supporting small businesses, and I really like supporting sewing businesses, because it's so hard to keep things like this hobby alive in this kind of economy. So that is what I do with my patterns. And then I just get to trace everything, put it on my fabric, and start sewing. So I will show you my traced patterns real quick, or once I'm done tracing them. So here's all my pattern pieces I just traced out. And I want to show you guys what I do when I don't have enough room on the tracing paper. So this is the bodice, and you can see it's to be cut on the fold, but I ran out of room on my column of parchment paper. So I just add a cutout of like another piece of parchment paper, and I not pinned it. How would you say that? Safety? What are those? Paper clips. I paper clipped it. Usually I staple it, but I don't know where my stapler is. So I will just pin it to the fabric like that. That is usually what I do if I run out of space. I just end up with cuttings of paper, and I clip it to the pattern. And this is one of my Viva dresses, or it's gonna be. It's the Tuppence a Penny Cafe Culture dress. And I will tag her below too, because I think she just opened up her Patreon again. So that's basically what I do with PDF patterns. I keep it real simple. It does take a while to be unfolding it and tracing it out and then folding it back up, but it's not that bad. And parchment paper is really easier to handle anyway than trying to cut out those paper. I also just wanted to say, when I'm doing printing from plotted printing, you guys know, I am so horrible with names. Anyways, when I'm doing it, she has several different ordering types, because I think she even does tissue paper, or like a thinner, smaller type of paper, like a less heavy paper. I always print it though on the It's cheaper to print it on the heavier AO paper than it is the other stuff. I always use the thicker paper that's a little cheaper, and I do that because of how I use it. It's sturdier and I like it better. You can always pay more, I guess, for the tissue paper. It's up to you. It's whatever you like, but I trace it anyway. And I like to have that sturdier paper. Also, I will give you a tip. I used to, like, because I was a Patreon member, or I am a Patreon member, I used to print out every single pattern. And then I realized I wasn't sewing every single pattern anyway, and I probably wasted some money. But, and plus I didn't even realize at the time when I had joined, I had just downloaded a bunch of patterns and I was like, I love this, I love this. I hate sewing knit fabrics, and I downloaded a bunch for knit fabrics. So it's like, I have them. My daughter sews, and she actually doesn't mind sewing knit fabrics, so maybe they will go to her. But now I'm way more aware and money aware too, that I don't need to print out every single pattern. I only wait until there's like several pieces that she's dropped that I know I want, or anywhere, and I kind of wait. And I gather them up in my files, and then eventually I just make an order for my printed patterns to come in. Lately, I haven't really done it that often, but because Viva's coming, there were 2 that I really needed. And I'm sorry if you hear my phone vibrating. I keep forgetting to put it on airplane mode. Anyways, that is what I do, and it doesn't cost that much. I will put up some schematics just so that you guys know. My daughter's banging on the door. She's outside playing. But I will put up some prices. So here's the website. You can see that it is a woman-owned company. It's pretty easy to navigate. There's not many things to go to. You can print out your instructions and your patterns. It's very easy. There is 2 types of paper, translucent or the regular. Then there's several different options for the instruction booklets. And then you just click on the type of paper that you want to order it in, and you upload it. The file, you can pick certain sizes. She will print just that size out for you. She does have a disclaimer. Please make sure you read everything before you send it off to printing. Anyways, I'm going to put in, or you guys probably just seen, like, about the prices and everything that it costs. But it's really, she ships, I think into the United States. I'm not sure if she does overseas. But shipping overseas right now is kind of ridiculous with tariffs. So I don't know if that's something you would want to do anyway. For paper. Paper's heavy. Anyways, I will see you guys. Next week is Viva Prep. I don't know when I'm posting. I want to post a couple of times because I always do packing for Viva, but I'm also sewing for Viva, and I do a little bit of that too. So we'll see. Viva is April 9th. So I'm super excited, and I wasn't going to go, and now I'm going. So let's see what we've got. And please subscribe, please like and comment and interact, and tell me what you guys want to see more of. I know that you guys want vlogs of the vintage events. I do have something like that coming up soon. So please stay tuned. I will see you soon. Bye.